Coming up on Doctype, I'll show you how to get rolling with Tumblr themes. Then, Jim will show you the basics of jQuery mobile. So turn off the Minecraft because it's time for Doctype. I'm Nick Pettit.
And I'm Jim Hoskins.
And you're watching Doctype. Whether you're a designer that's absolutely terrified of code,
or a developer who thinks the golden ratio is a fast food combo meal, Doctype has the latest tips, tricks, and tools to help make you a pretty well-rounded web professional.
That's right. So, over at ThinkVitamin membership, at membership.thinkvitamin.com, we just launched masterclasses, and we just released our very first one on CSS3. And basically, masterclasses are about 90 minutes, and they're really deep dives into cutting-edge web topics. So our first one is on CSS3, and you're going to want to sign up for a gold membership to get access to those. We're pretty proud of them. They're really cool.
One of our biggest requests on Doctype is to really go in-depth into these technologies. So if you're looking for that, the masterclasses at ThinkVitamin membership and all the other tutorials are really, really good resources for you.
That's right.
Also in April, on the 29th and 30th, where are you going to be? LessConf.
That's
right. Where we're going to be, and we hope you are too. It's a really cool conference, great speakers, it's a really awesome atmosphere, the attendees are great.
There's Alan and Steve. I mean, how could you possibly
If you're not familiar
resist?
with Less Everything, you should go. So we're going to be there, we hope you are too.
That's right. So, this week I am going to be talking about Tumblr themes.
And I'll show you jQuery mobile.
Let's check it out. So, you may have heard about Tumblr, which is a blogging platform, or in some cases a CMS platform, depending on how you want to look at it. Recently, I have been getting into Tumblr themes, and they have this really cool templating engine, but we'll get to that in just a second. Basically, you sign up at tumblr.com, T-U-M-B-L-R, and after you sign up, you come to your dashboard where you can kind of make posts, you can follow other people, you can see you can see who's following you. It's pretty cool. And your Tumblr blog will actually look like this. Not exactly like this. This is a custom theme, but basically you have a whole bunch of posts, and it's really just a simple blogging platform. Now, on the admin side of this, you have this toolbar across the top, and this is where you can kind of customize your whole blog, the look of it, different details about it. And if you go to the Info tab, you can set the title of your blog, you can set the URL, and you can even use a custom domain name, which is pretty cool. You can also hook it into Facebook, Twitter, you can put your RSS feed on FeedBurner, and this is the part we're going to be focusing on. If you go to the Theme tab, you can put in custom HTML. And it's a little bit unwieldy, but basically this is what you want to be paying attention to. Tumblr uses this weird templating language that takes a little bit of getting used to. It can be oversimplistic at times, but it's actually pretty cool. So here we have some normal HTML. We have a title tag, which is where you would put the title of a web page. And inside of these curly braces, we have a Tumblr title tag. And that will just display the title of your blog. So if you go into the info panel there, you can set the title right there, and then when you use the template tag title, that's what it will put in there. This is kind of like a conditional statement. So if you were to click on an individual post, it would generate what's called a post summary. So if a post summary is available, then it will go ahead and print a space, a dash, another space, and then the post summary, at least in this case. So, what does this give you? Well, first, the title gives you the title of your blog, like I mentioned before, and then if a post summary is available, it will go ahead and print the post summary right next to it. So this is what my blog looks like when you go ahead and look at it at nickpettit.com. It looks like a normal Tumblr blog. But this is the tricky part of Tumblr. When you're actually developing it, there's no great way to develop it locally, at least that I've found. If you know of a great way to simulate a Tumblr template, then please leave us a note in the comments. But basically, when you just load up a Tumblr template in your browser on your local machine, this is what it will look like. Because when you use the Tumblr templating language, Tumblr will replace certain parts of your blog where you're using the template tags. So when you're developing, you kind of have to switch back and forth, and you're constantly copying and pasting all of your template into your blog, but that's kind of a minor downside compared to all of the niftiness that Tumblr gives you. You can also check out other themes at tumblr.com/themes, and Tumblr actually has pretty good documentation that shows you how to create your own themes and take this a step further. So this was a pretty high-level overview, but hopefully this gives you some idea of how to work with Tumblr themes. Listen, you need a domain name. You know it, I know it, but where are you gonna go get it? GoDaddy, that's where. If you're looking to drive viewers to your video content, then .tv domains are where it's at. .tv domains are perfect for podcasters, video bloggers, and anyone with something to say. And they're available now at GoDaddy.com. Heck, where do you think we got Doctype.tv from? So we know you all get your domains from GoDaddy, but whose code are you gonna use? Enter the code Doctype3 when you check out and save an additional 10% off your entire order. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com.
Developing for mobile devices can be a tricky business, but fortunately there are a lot of great tools that help you do this. We're going to look at one today called jQuery Mobile. Well, jQuery Mobile, like you might expect, is a mobile platform based on jQuery. Now, it's not a shrunk-down version of jQuery for mobile devices. Rather, it's a framework built on top of jQuery that will allow you to build mobile interfaces very easily. Now, one of the things I really like about it is its platform support. It's not just for creating iPhone sites. They are targeting iOS, Android, Windows Phone, BlackBerry, and several other platforms to varying degrees. You can actually see their compatibility grid and see exactly what functionality will work with what platforms. Another really cool thing about how jQuery Mobile works compared to some other frameworks is that it really takes advantage of a lot of cool technologies. So really you can think of jQuery Mobile as jQuery plus HTML5 plus CSS3 and responsive web design. So how do all these technologies work? Well, it uses HTML5 to create really semantic markup without using a lot of class names to designate the actual semantics of our page. And we'll take a look at that in a second. The next thing it does is for its style, it relies heavily on CSS3. So for things like rounded corners and shadows and other effects, it relies on CSS3 to dynamically generate that instead of relying on images. The only images really that are used are things like icons, which make sense to be images. This really reduces the amount of load time on mobile devices where bandwidth can be scarce. And the last thing it does is it uses responsive web design. Instead of really focusing on specific screen sizes for different devices, instead it builds based on the width and height of the actual window sizes presented with. So the same theme can be used on an iPad at a larger width down to a very small iPhone or other device. You can even use it on desktop browsers and it'll scale properly. So let's take a look at how it works on the iPhone, for instance. You can create cool lists, you can scroll up and down, you can navigate between pages. It'll use Ajax to pull in new content. It has a lot of cool transitions and a lot of cool other features. We can also see it works in a browser. So this is Chrome, and you can see that everything just scales up to the right size. So let's take a look at an example page. Here we have several divs that would compose a typical page or one view of a jQuery mobile site. In HTML5, we have data attributes, which means we can add any attribute into our tag name so long as we prefix them with data dash. So in this case, we're showing roles. For instance, if we have different widgets like a page or a header or a list view or a button, those are specified in the data dash role attribute of your actual markup. There are other attributes that are used like URL and icon and several others, but that's how the things are actually specified. You don't create a class page. Instead, you apply a data role of some sort, and then jQuery will interpret that and add any styling or extra markup that it needs. So in this case, we start with an outer div with data role page. You'll see I also gave it an ID of home, and this can be used to navigate back and forth between pages. So if I had a link to the # home, that would allow us to link to this particular div or this page in our mobile application. Inside of a page is typically 3 different divs. First, we have a div with a data role header, then a div with the data role content, and optionally, You can also add a div with the data role of footer. Now this isn't in every page, but it can be used in some cases. Now what's really cool about things like the header is it'll not only create the mobile type styles using the H1 to fill in all the information, but if you add links to it, it'll create them in the corners and create very iOS-like interactions. Now there's a lot more to look at jQuery Mobile, so if you want to check out the documentation and the demos that we've seen here, check out jQueryMobile.com.
That is it for this week. Until next time, be sure to check us out at facebook.com/Doctype and follow @DoctypeTV on Twitter.
And if you have a question you'd like answered on a future episode of Doctype, send us an email at questions@doctype.tv.
And if you subscribe via iTunes or RSS or YouTube, you'll never miss an episode of Doctype. So come on, why not?
So until next Tuesday, remember that every great web page starts with Doctype.